Hi, yes, hello. I am here doing Lightbearer Propaganda. All that I mean by that is that the ring is really good, and I'd like to talk about when you should use it, when you should get it, how it compares to other rings, why I think it's underrated, and also a niche blind spot I've run into in terms of calculating exactly how good special attacks are with tools like Gearscape and the Wiki DPS calculator. There's a bit to get into here, so I'll just jump into it. So my main point is not that the Lightbearer is the best ring in the game. Well, maybe, but whatever. That's not what I'm really trying to say. When you are building up your bank for the first time, you should only care about the Lightbearer. I'll get into why, but until you have, I don't know, a bill or close to $1 billion in your bank, you should just worry about the Lightbearer as your ring for everything. So obviously the Lightbearer has a lot of people who are singing its praises, but it doesn't show up in like a lot of lists and a lot of recommended gear videos. And even though people know it's good, I still think they overlook it sometimes just because it doesn't show up in like raw DPS calculations. So the first thing that I tried to set out to do was find a good way to compare it to the utility it provides to the other rings. Quick refresher on the specifics: doesn't give any stats, but it doubles your special attack regeneration. So you get back 10% of your special attack every 15 seconds, and that's up from every 30 normally, which means you get 40% back every minute and a full 100% back after 2.5 minutes. So this means that the Lightbearer doesn't matter if you're resetting every kill or if you have single kills that are under 75 seconds. Like if you're restoring your house or Narda or similar every time, just ignore it. In a straight up DPS comparison, the Lightbearer is like always gonna lose to the DK's rings and especially the Desert Treasure 2 rings, but the big thing that's helpful about it is resource saving. And the first resource that it saves is money. Until you have like Oathplate and are worried about like Oathplate Missouri and Virtus, just have a Lightbearer as your only switch and make sure you have good special attack weapons. I say that because the Lightbearer is worth about 6 mil at the time of writing, and then if you want the B ring, Archer's ring, and Seer's ring, those all together are worth like 7, 8 mil combined. And then there's like the 3 Wildy rings, which are niche, and the Brimstone ring, which is like 3 mil, and this doesn't even get into the DT2 rings, which are worth like 10s or even over 100 mil at some points. So while 6 mil is expensive up front, it's really worth it, and it will eventually pay for itself over time. And of course, the way it pays for itself is by utilizing special attacks from weapons that give you back health or prayer, saving you time, helping you get more kills, longer trips. I do actually have a second propaganda of the video. Ooh, double propaganda. Use your special attacks. Please use them. I have known a lot of people who, not a lot of people, just my like close friends who fucking play the game, whatever. People don't use their special attacks sometimes when they're like on Slayer or doing light bossing. Because the Lightbearer is not good on its own, you have to have special attack weapons to go along with it, but there are literally so many really good options. The Dragon Dagger is dirt cheap and is really good, excellent thing to get. Beyond that, at more expensive prices, there are a ton of other really good special attack weapons. The Arcan Blade, technically free because you get it from a quest, has a great spec. Burning Claws or Crystal Halberd are both really good for DPS specs. Fang has a decent special attack that's worth using if you are feeling lazy. Of course, there's much later game, really expensive special attack weapons that are amazing, but then there's the really important stuff like the Blowpipe, like the Saradomin Godsword, like the Dragon Warhammer, that are going to drastically change how your kills look. This is another reason I push for the Lightbearer. Having stat drain reliably every kill or having health restore reliably every kill makes a huge difference, and it's also a visible difference, usually more than like the one max hit that any of the DK's rings are usually going to give you. On screen is not a comprehensive list of every special attack weapon, but it's ones that still really benefit from the Lightbearer. Now again, because it only affects your recharge rate and not like the actual special attacks while you're using them, fights need to last long enough to regain at least one spec charge of that weapon where you wouldn't have it if you didn't have the Lightbearer. So let's talk about some specific breakpoints where Lightbearer is really good, where it falls short, and why I do think you should get it. Real quick, out of combat, against Celestial Ring or the Elven Signet, it is not as good for mining, but it also helps with woodcutting and fishing. Granted, it is a very minor difference over time. It is like a couple thousand logs on your way to 99, maybe something like that, for woodcutting specifically. Not super important, but it does at least help for skilling. It's a little more impactful at like Temperos when you're fishing in the center pool or something like that. It's nice to have, not crucial. Where the Lightbearer really shines is super long encounters. The ones I'm sure you're thinking of are Fight Caves, Inferno, and even Colosseum. In Fight Caves, for example, the question is, how many special attacks can you use in, 75 minutes, give or take? How much healing does that get you? How many inventory spaces does that save you? How many Cerebrews is that? And we also need to take into account that you can still do special attacks without the Lightbearer, they're just a little slower. So assuming a blowpipe, 75 range, Addy darts, God D'hide, very doo-doo gear, your special attack is gonna average 7.5 damage per hit. So about 4 healing per special attack. And praying the giant boosted eagle eye. I have not used that prayer, I forget what it's called, the giant eagle. With the Lightbearer, after your first initial specs, you're gonna gain back 2 full special attacks of 50% each every 2.5 minutes. Over the course of a 75-minute Fight Cave or Inferno, you're gonna have full spec 30 times, as opposed to 15 without the Lightbearer. This means with the Lightbearer that you're gonna have a total of 60 special attacks, which on average in doo-doo first Fire Cape gear is going to get you 240 healing, versus without the Lightbearer, half of that, 120 total healing. This means that just using the Lightbearer saves you an extra 2 full Cerebrews over not using it. Something else to consider is that this healing is better than healing with brew, and especially better than healing with hard food, because there's no attack delay on this healing, there's no stat drain, you're not losing ticks, you're not having to drink restore after, and you're not having to reboost your stats with stat boosting potions. So it extends your backpack size even more than just the direct healing that it does. It's really good and it's really useful. Also, just for fun, in max range gear with a toxic blowpipe, your average spec is hitting 18.5, which means you're healing for about 9 on average. Over the course of a Fight Caves, that's 540 healing, which at 99 HP is better than 32 doses of Cerebrew. So literally in a max setup, a Lightbearer is worth an additional 4 brews over not bringing one. This also applies to any long encounter. That can just be Slayer, can be fighting any other monster, just any point where you're not banking or restoring regularly. But we can't just look at the Lightbearer in a vacuum, so let's see how much DPS you're actually losing out on. I did some calculations against Vorkath. I forgot to include Salve Amulet, it's fine, don't worry about it. Let's assume you're doing melee with Burning Claw's special attack and Osmutbin's Fang in your main hand. The first kill, you come in with 100% spec, let's assume about 2 minutes long for the kill, so you're gaining back 80% spec with Lightbearer. A Burning Claw's hit is 15 damage higher than a Fang in this scenario, which means with 1 more extra special per kill than without the Lightbearer, you're basically gaining plus 15 extra damage per kill in this comparison using a Lightbearer versus a Berserker Ring. So for this comparison, if you swap in the Berserker Ring instead of the Lightbearer in this setup, you're gaining 1 max hit, and over the course of a Vorkath kill, you're definitely going to hit Vorkath more than 15 times. So that max hit is going to matter for sure, and you're going to have higher DPS with a Berserker Ring. So it is worse on 1 Vorkath kill, for sure. But where it gets interesting is let's look at like a 4 kill trip. First kill, still the same, 4 specials with Lightbearer, 3 specials without Lightbearer, 1 max hit without Lightbearer. But for each consecutive kill after, assuming kills are about 2 minutes long, with Lightbearer, you're gaining 80% special each kill, without it, 40% special each kill. Over the course of 4 kills, you're going to gain back 320% special attack with the Lightbearer, 160% special attack without the Lightbearer. Divide that by 30 for the Burning Claws spec and round to what you need for full specials. You get 10 Burning Claws specs per trip with Lightbearer, 5 without. So that's plus 75 extra damage on average compared to a Fang, assuming you're losing like 1 tick for the switch to make it even with the Fang, which is a slower attack speed than the Claws. Just go with me a little bit here. I'm not a math person, I'm a music guy. Don't worry about it. That brings us up to each kill on average being 18.75 extra damage with the Lightbearer. If your switches are tick perfect, you're gonna get even more DPS than that, but it's still not quite the average hit. So in the DPS time to kill numbers, it still is technically worse to bring the Lightbearer versus a Berserker ring. So why am I making propaganda about it? Why do I recommend it so much? Because the Lightbearer is good at almost every single boss in the game for all 3 combat styles. You don't need to worry about ring switches. You don't need to worry about buying those rings. You don't have to imbue the Lightbearer, which is huge. You don't have to think about your setup. You just equip the Lightbearer and you're good to go. You know it's gonna help you. And I think that's worth something. I think that's pretty good. Another situation where it really helps is using stat draining weapons. At most bosses where you want to use stat draining weapons, it is gonna help you guarantee that you have a spec to drain stats at the beginning of every single kill, whereas without it, you're not gonna have that. At Duke's Susselis, for example, where we're gonna assume Warhammer spec, I know Emberlight or Bando's Godsword is better, but Gearscape is kind of limited, or maybe I'm just too stupid to figure it out, but I need to use D Warhammer for this. Roll with me for a second. 50% special attack, each kill, about 2 minutes long, means you'll regain about 80% spec per kill versus 40. One of those gives you a full D Warhammer special attack, one does not. I'm using the D Warhammer in this scenario because Gearscape lays it out really nicely in this graph, with no defense drain, assuming this decent gear. With a Lightbearer, you're doing 6.8 DPS, without it, 7.2. With one spec hit, with a Lightbearer, you're doing 7.2, without a Lightbearer, 7.6. So of course, everything we're working with is averages and calculations and nothing super concrete. But if you can have a spec every kill, your DPS is going to be about on rate with using a Berserker ring, for example. Now, of course, you'll still have some specs without the Lightbearer, but you'll guarantee more. But another thing to consider is that it can be really annoying to fight bosses with high defense when you don't land those special attacks. And that's where something like the Soulflame Horn might help, which again, benefits from the Lightbearer. It's a positive thing. And it really is good, like nearly everywhere in the game. It's useful either because of trip length or needing to go hybrid between attack styles, or various other mechanics where it just ends up being useful. It's really good at DKs because you're switching attack styles. It's really good at Huey because they're long kills. It's great at Doom for super long trips. It's great at Sire, where special attacks are super important for finishing an Enrage phase. It's amazing in the Inferno. It's amazing in the Fight Caves. It's great at all the raids. It's even good for quest bosses, like Song of the Elves and Dragon Slayer 2, where you're fighting really long boss fights at the end. And so, this is my argument. You should not worry about other rings until you're going for the Desert Treasure 2 rings. You should be using special attacks, and you should just buy a Lightbearer as your main, one and only, tried and true, ride or die ring. Eventually using other rings is really, really good. And sure, there are plenty of scenarios where you don't want to use a Lightbearer, or if you don't want to use special attacks, you can tell me to fuck off, you're not buying one. That's fine. That's all totally good. I think it's really useful. I think it helps mitigate switches. I think the resource saving is especially good. And even DPS wise, if you're using good specials, which we have a lot more special attack weapons in the game that are affordable, it's really good. I really like it, and I think you should use it. But now, I need to ask something of the community. So doing the setup calculations and math and research for this video was really tough because it's really hard to get a comparison of how actually good the Lightbearer is versus the other rings, because our calculators for DPS and stuff don't really calculate special attack in a way that's useful. Don't get me wrong, they show you like, oh, this special attack is gonna, do better than this special attack, and that's fine. But what I think would be phenomenal is if somehow someone who's way better at math than me is able to take the average hit of a special attack and compare it to the average hit of your main hand weapon and compare the attack speed of those two and compare it to how many special attacks you get in like a minute, and you can get a direct comparison of treating special attacks as something entirely separate from your main hand weapon. I think this would be really useful for telling you what weapon is actually good. I think it'd be useful for showing people why using special attack weapons at all is worth it. And then once that's done, please figure out a way to work the Lightbearer into it by like, I don't know, you'd probably need a separate category, which is why I'm sure they don't do this, but like, you know, DPS over time or whatever. So yeah, it's complicated, but also like you plug the Lightbearer into Gearscape and nothing changes. It just shows that it does nothing. And other YouTubers don't really include it in their gear progression videos or their like setup for boss videos a lot of the time. So this is my call for help. This is my call for action. People who aren't stupid musicians, please help me figure this out. Thank you. So anyway, that's it. Lightbearer, good. You should get one. You should get one early, and you should use it often. And then you don't have to worry about imbues. How nice is that? Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this rant. I actually did some math for this one, which is very hard, so you have to leave a like for me. You have to be nice to me. Yeah, thanks for taking time to watch my video. I appreciate it. I don't know. I like RuneScape, even when they keep fucking raising the prices of membership. It's really fun, and more people should play it. So, you don't have to listen to my advice, but you should keep playing the game. It's a good time. Bye.
Free magic.
Okay.
Don't move.
Don't move.
Oh.
Oh my! Stop! Stop! Stop!
Stop!
Goodbye.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, now it's time for me to put Pocopia.
Lindsay's gonna have 6
God.
brews for whatever.
Oh my
No, I'm all
God!
back for
I'm
life.
sorry.
Hell yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean it.
Now I get to watch shit about Pocopia.